We got something very, very interesting here in the news that definitely needs to be addressed. And the reason why it needs to be addressed is because the climate of morals and ethics and morality here in the United States of America has declined on an unprecedented level over the last 20 years. Now, I'm not saying by any stretch of imagination that society or any religious group or organization or even Congress itself are the ones who determine what morality is. Because today, people seem to be challenged by a lot of things. So let me see if I can find this real quick. This article. All right, that ain't it. Where's this thing at? I just seen it the other day. Mercy. But what is happening is that over there in Utah, Fox News is reporting, and here it is right here. Check it out. Now, let me be the first one to go ahead and speak about this and speak truth. No matter what people's feelings and emotions are, I'm going to speak the truth. And truth is not open, whether you like it or not. It's not open for a vote or a decision on the majority rules or whatever you want to call it. It makes no difference. You can't change the truth of it, okay? Anyway, what it says Utah law would decriminalize polygamy among consenting adults. First of all, you have to realize and know what the history of Utah was. Some time ago, Brigham Young and all of them, they wanted to run for the highest seat in America, which is the presidency. And of course, you know, it was easy for them to take over Utah because they believe in what they call polygamy. Now, I've got to define that term for you real quick because polygamy and polygyny is two different terms. Polygamy it's what it's doing. It's touting that a man and a woman can have multiple spouses. That's the term for polygamy. But polygyny, which is more biblically defined, kind of like Abraham, Jacob, Moses, Gideon, Elkanah, David, and then you go read the history of Josephus, which was a New Testament historian. He often talked about the polygyny amongst the Hebrew Israelites and how common it was. That is a more concrete biblical term. So you have secular world polygamy, and then you have biblical polygyny. All right. Now, Utah was, okay, you know, it was a state, and they had pretty much taken over all the legislation and stuff. So America actually rolled out the National Guard and made it a criminal offense for a man to have more than one wife. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? A criminal offense. Well, guess what? We all knew it was coming. I said it over 10 years ago. Because as you start watching the moral decay and the moral decline and the spiritual bankruptcy of this world, especially in America here, and we're watching immorality and debauchery on the climb, we're watching every single accepted form of lifestyle, notice accepted form of lifestyle, being accepted by society. You see, in the 60s, they used to call homosexuality a mental disorder. Well, now the Supreme Court in 2015 turned around and said that it is a right for consenting adults to be able to receive marriage license by the state. And of course, you want to know my sentiments on marriage license, all you have to do is just go and look at another video. I don't have time for that in this video. And so now you have a man and a man being married. I don't know who the wife is, but a man and a man, and that's legal here in America. And of course, the Bible still don't change. It was an abomination for mankind to lie with a mankind as with a woman back then, and it has always been, and it still is. What's the reason why? Because a man carries seed, the woman carries the seed of a man and brings forth a child. And you can't simply bring forth a child. It's all about procreation. All right? So, and now you have a man and a man can marry. And the churches that are 501c3, you better not say a word or your tax exempt status is going to be ripped from you. You better not say a word or the gay and lesbian, the LGBTQ, EFG, ABC movement is literally going to come in, and they're going to do whatever they can to force remove the pastors all across this land. Pastors in secular Christian churches, Christians, all right, they're being removed because of their intolerance to, watch this, something that is biblically defined as an abomination that will cause you to burn. That's homosexuality and lesbianism. Now, America says it's okay. Now, you got to ask yourself, in who God or what God do you trust? And anytime there's something biblical, such as polygyny, Hebrew Israelites, Christians, Muslims, some Muslims, because it's accepted in Muslim, but people go off the chain. I always say, when you find something, you know the truth when something is really the truth because it has the most fight against it. You can tell. But it's utterly remarkable and amazing what we all see changing and taking place today. Now, mind you, a man could go out here and have 4 or 5 consorts and have 2 or 3 children by each one of those women and not be responsible for any of them, and thereby becoming a tax liability, taxing the system, causing those of us who actually pay taxes to support their lifestyle. And you have literally in each state, parish, and county a bunch of uncovered refugees running around all over the place, and the laws say nothing. The churches say nothing. The news says nothing. So a man can literally be cohabitating or coexisting with and consenting because, you know, it's against the Constitution. The government cannot regulate who you're going to have sex with. Bottom line. And I forget that law. What was that law I touted in Texas and stuff? Man, that was a victory. But anyway, it slips my mind right now. But it's utterly remarkable and amazing when you turn around and see that you've got a man having 8, 9, 10 children, about 4 or 5 different women, and they're not, I'm going to type this, legally bound or spiritually bound. And he pays no child support. The wife's not looking for no child support. She gets it from the state. And nobody says nothing. You know, old Mac Daddy. Nobody says nothing. But a man that chooses to be responsible for the women that is under his covering and chooses to provide for them, financially care for them, all of a sudden, something is morally wrong. I watched Megyn Kelly have some people in polyandry. And personally, my own personal opinion about that is just nasty. Yeah, that thing is just nasty. Can you imagine a woman having 3 or 4 men that she calls her husband, and all of them inserting themselves and their DNA into her? When you have a child, the only way you can be able to find out if you go do a DNA test. But see, that is even against biblical principles, which I know many of you are not even caring about anyway. But let me go on with this right here. All right, let's go read this thing real quick. All right. It says Utah set to abolish. Where'd it go? Utah law would decriminalize polygamy among consenting adults. And of course, that guy is on, I don't know if it's Big Love or whatever. He says, I'm a father, I'm a husband, and a lover, not a felon. And that's true. Lawmakers on Monday unanimously approved a bill that would decriminalize polygamy among consenting adults, despite arguments from opponents who said the law could potentially embolden abusers. Now, see, that is an insertion. Because if you look at the monogamous society that we live in today. It truly is not the champion as far as the standard of what marriage should be. I mean, think about this. America is allegedly on books a monogamous society. But yet and still, nobody's really monogamous, because in the United States of America, you have a thing called serial polygamy, where you constantly are dealing with people divorce, remarried, divorce, remarried, divorce, remarried, divorce, remarried. And as long as you so-called allegedly terminate the contractual agreement with the first one, then, but you still, the state still holds you liable for any type of seed or responsibility that comes from those unions. It's just the optics of things, the way things look on books, all right? Which is a sad, sad situation, all right? So it's amazing, because in a monogamous society, the United States of America has a 70% divorce rate. Now you think about this. If I was to take you skydiving with me, and I give you a chute and says this chute has a 70% chance at failure, would you jump out of that plane? If you do, you are a fool. You are literally a fool. Now, think about that. Think about that for a second. If I told you it was a 70% chance that this chute was going to fail, are you still going to jump? Whew, man, that's madness. So think about this. And that's why we have groups like MGTOW, men going their own way. People, and really men today, got an unfair shake, because you see the court system is not going to tell you men that you don't have to agree with their choices and decisions. What they do is they try to use duress, force, and coercion, intimidation, to get you to comply and sign over your livelihood, your finances, to a woman. And I've got plenty of people that I see constantly over and over again. The biggest one is Kabir Bajabil Amelia, who is a retired Green Bay Packer Hall of Famer. His wife just flat out, his ex-wife, just lied on him. I mean, every time she opened up her mouth, she has just flat out lied. And the system sided with her. And she took over half, because at the time, he didn't know his rights. But he's knowing his rights now, that he doesn't have to consent. He doesn't have to sign. And he doesn't have to give signature just because they say. But anyway, nevertheless, going on, man, it's utterly amazing. So a woman could get out here and lie and take you to the cleaners and the bank, and men are just not participating in this marriage stuff anymore, because there's no benefit for them. They can still go out and have sex with a consenting adult and not have the responsibility of actually taking care of the woman. But it goes on and says, despite, now mind you, let me finish this. It says, because they're worried about abuse. Now, have you checked the statistics of both male and female partners in marriage being abused in this monogamous society? That's why I say over and over again, there's no way you can champion monogamy as the standard of morality in any type of civilization when it has a 70% divorce rate. That is off of the proverbial chain. I mean, the people in the backwoods of the Amazon do better than that by a long shot. Anyway, so that's just an insertion that they're putting in there to try to tout that there's always problems. All right, I'll tell you what, there's problems. Monogamy is definitely leading the way, isn't it? The law is a failure. It hasn't stopped polygamy at all, and it actually enables abuse to occur and remain unchecked, Henderson said. Her proposal to make bigamy an infraction rather than a felony has gathered significant support despite resistance from former members of the polygamous group. Henderson argues that law and the legacy of rage as recent as 1950 has created a culture of fear that emboldens notorious abusers like the polygamist leader Warren Jeffrey, who is now serving a life prison sentence in Texas for sexually assaulting girls he considered plural wives. I think y'all probably better go back and check that out, because I don't think that's the reason why he's in jail. I think, again, there's another assertion right here going on. But that's just, I mean, if we're going to really truly tout, you got problems in monogamy just like you have in polygamy. You got problems in every aspect of life. You can sit there and read the Bible and see the clear problems. I mean, after all, the first problems that ever came from an alleged monogamous, and that's what people, especially in the religious realm, tout as the order of morality is Adam and Eve. They always go back one husband, one wife. All right. Well, they were one husband and one wife, and look what that monogamous union produced. It produced the first murderer. It produced the first hatred. It produced the first lying. It produced the first anti-Christ spirit, anti-God. I mean, don't champion monogamy when it ain't looking too dang good. So let's just tell the truth like it is. When we all born in sin, shaping in iniquity, and in sin our mother did conceive us, we all have things we're going to spiritually fight with and wrestle until we are born again, regenerated, and walking in the newness of life. Bottom line. So, what they do is they make these reports out here on unsuspecting minds and people who don't know any better, who don't know nothing about the Bible whatsoever at all. And yet Christianity wants to take my people's culture and heritage, the Israelites. That's what Jacob and Moses and Joshua and Caleb and Gideon and Elkanah and Solomon and Peter, James, John, Paul, Jesus, Yeshua, Isaiah, Zephaniah, Zechariah, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, all of them were Hebrew Israelites. Go read the book for yourself. Paul never called himself a Christian. Never did. Never did. Go read it. I dare you. So anyway, you got all these people right here that know exactly who you are, but you got Christianity trying to hijack and try to tell you that the fathers of the faith somehow didn't know what they were doing. It's amazing how the eternal, the creator universe, never rebuked, never corrected Abraham, never corrected Jacob or Moses. He never corrected anyone concerning their marital status of biblical polygyny. Never did. That's why you would see the patriarchs having 2, 3, 4, 5 wives. Sometimes David had 18 of them, and he was a man after Yah's own heart. Abraham was a friend of Yah. Not only did he have wives, but he had concubines as well. And so these people who don't know what the word says, they all the time trying to wrestle the scripture and deceive many of you. But I realize that I'm also using this as a time to teach. But I'm trying to show you how much of an enemy the lie is against the truth and what they're trying to do. So it says that Utah Attorney General has publicly declined to prosecute polygamists like Brown for years, but the bigamy law remains on the books. Now, the bigamy law remains on the books because that's just their one way to control people. But they don't control Mac Daddy that's got 4 or 5 wives or 4 or 5 women and has 10 children. Bigamy is nothing more than going out and having 2 wives, meaning 2 women with marriage agreements, marriage contracts from the state. If you do not have a contract with the state, then you've broken no law. There is no bigamy involved. So you got people, again, it's all play on words. It's all them using things for you out there that's uneducated, because your preachers ain't going to tell you the truth. They're not going to tell you that you're going to see Abraham in the kingdom, and he had 3 or 4 wives and a whole plethora of concubines. They're going to tell you that. They're going to tell you that Moses, the custodian of the law, had 3 wives and he's in the kingdom. They're not going to tell you that David, a man's after Yah's own heart, is in the kingdom and going to be in the kingdom, and he's going to be ruling and reigning as well with all of us. And he had 18 wives and a plethora of concubines. And it's just utterly amazing. See, the problem is all these men go out there humbling these women. Of course, now don't get me wrong, women today, with their, don't get me started on the way women are today, because they are pale in comparison to what you read in the Word. But anyways, we go on. Monday's proposal would significantly lower the penalties for consenting adults, polygamists, but keep harsher penalties for crimes linked to polygamy, including coerced marriages. But some pro-polygamy advocates have pushed back, arguing that those enhancements create unfair associations with their communities. Others say easing restrictions on polygamy won't do much to help the victims and might make things worse. Melissa Ellis, who grew up in the polygamous Kingston group, says she worries leaders could consider it a victory if Utah lightens penalties. Man, that's utterly amazing me, because you think about this. I think it's a sick person, a very sick person, for a man 40, 50 years old marrying someone 13, 14 years old. What is that? That's my opinion. That's all it is. Because you think about this for a second. For those of you who know the Bible, how old was Joseph when he married Miriam, that you call Mary? How old was he? Go back and do a research and study, and let's just see. All right? Now, I don't agree with it, personally, myself. I just can't see it. I mean, they look like children to me. And, you know, that's just, I just can't see it. But then, you got these drag queens that are invited to your public food systems or school systems that will go out here and read books. And now, every time I turn around in the news, they're showing men and little boys. You know, there's an organization out there called NIMLA, North American Man Boy Love Association, and nobody says anything about it. But when it comes to biblical polygyny, when it comes to anything about mentioning polygyny, the visceral, attitudes that come out. I mean, the vigor, and the things it stirs up. But you can have a boyfriend and a girlfriend. You can break up. Next week, be with another boyfriend and girlfriend. You can break up. And then you can be with them for 2-3 years, have a child, and then break up. Have another boyfriend and girlfriend. Nobody says nothing about that. See what I'm saying? Who is in the position to judge any type of morality whatsoever at all? I mean, think about that. I mean, the people that are claiming to be able to be judges of people and morality, man, y'all some sick individuals. Very sick individuals out there. I mean, sick. And don't tell me, you women out there, that you believe in monogamy. Because if you did, then why is it that you've had more than one man go into you in your lifetime? You see what I mean? I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. And that's the reason why your preachers, your theologians, your pastors, your doctors, your teachers, that's why I don't never want to debate Pastor Dowell in an open form recorded for everybody to see on a live stream. Nobody wants to debate Pastor Dowell on biblical marriage. But anyway, they go on. I'm going to finish this article. This video is a hell of a lot longer than what I intended for it to be. But it says right here, those men are going to have more power and more control over their victims. Well, what the hell? Men seem to be the victims today, because through the court system and the way that this damn matriarchal system is rigged today, women got total control, 1% control. Matter of fact, men, you make the mistake of your lives if you go out and get a state marriage license. Matter of fact, Alabama has already got it in legislation to abolish the marriage license because of the tyranny that men suffer from it. I mean, people better educate themselves and wake up. Than they did before. She said, adding, we need more laws in place that are going to help victims. Well, who determines what a victim is? Because laws on paper mean nothing. That's why every law you see today, pretty much that is made, there are laws against the law-abiding citizen. That's like you see my firearm back there. Do you think that they're trying to make legislation going after the criminals? Criminals don't obey laws. No, law-abiding citizens do. So therefore, all these laws are not against criminals. They are against law-abiding citizens. You get it? So anyway, like I said, the Supreme Court hand is tied. They are going to be forced into recognizing polygamy in all 50 states of the union. And my question to all you religious people out there, what are you going to say then? Because Christianity, you all are mutant. When you see two homosexuals walk into your church, and now you got pastors coming out the closet, and they're preaching behind pulpit, and you got women coming out the closets, and you got wife swapping going on in the churches, elders with deacons, deacons with elders' wives, and you got all kind of crap going on out there. Who in the world, or what in the world, who going to stand up and be a righteous judge no matter what these laws of the land say? Because I tell you what, I want to know what you Christians are going to say. Chime in. Talk about it down here. I want to know what you Christians are going to say when polygamy is legalized in the United States of America. Are you still going to stand that it's sin? Because the Bible does not call it sin. You may call it sin, but you can't show me one verse in the Bible that calls polygyny a sin. That's the truth. That's the true straight way. You want to hear more about this? In the description box down below, I have a Pateron channel that I talk about a lot of this stuff in a whole lot more vigor and a whole lot more truth than what you're hearing right now. That's because I'm being censored so much on YouTube, which is utterly amazing. I see some of the things that is allowed on YouTube. Somebody has got Pastor Dowell and their crosshairs up there at YouTube. I must have really made somebody upset. But see, these are painful truths that nobody truly wants. These type of words that I'm saying, they don't want these rehearsed in your ears. Because I challenge the social media and the paradigm of today. I challenge it vigorously. Because I'm a man of truth. I'm a man of truth. I live the truth and I love truth. I live a clean, moral lifestyle approved of by the creator of the universe. What about you? What do you think about this video, huh? Give us your thoughts. Go join me over on Patreon. You want to hear more serious content.